The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue. And as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba. And with me here in the studio is one of our very vibrant in-house analysts. And of course, an expert in matters of the judiciary. I'm talking about Kunle Olasani.
George, thank you for having me.
Yes, and for the big issue of the day is the political statement ascribed to the CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ariwoola.
Olukayode Ariwoola.
Yes, Olukayode Ariwoola. A comment that has put the CJN in the eye of the storm. And what was it? The CJN, while he was a guest in Rivers State, where he was invited by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, by the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, to commission some completed projects in Rivers State, was said to have said he was happy that his state governor, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, was among the G5 governors, also known as the Integrity Group, which is calling for the removal of the People's Democratic Party National Chairman, Iyochayu. While commissioning 2 buildings to accommodate the Federal Judicial Service Commission's SASA Liaison Office and the Justice Mary Peter Odili Judicial Institute in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The CJN made that statement considered by those sympathetic to him as a joke, referring to the fact that, yes, he is at least happy that his governor is a member of the G5 governors that are currently opposing the structure within the People's Democratic Party. But that statement did not go funny. Most Nigerians kick against it, and they said it was unbecoming of a man holding the office as high as that of the Chief Justice of Nigeria in the country to make such political statement, which they say is unethical and must have shown that the CJN is partisan. And of course, so many people, especially those of the opposition extraction, have come to condemn his utterance, especially a media aide to the presidential candidate of the PDP, Frank Shaibu, said Justice Ariwoola's descent into political commentaries portends grave danger for the country's judiciary. Shaibu noted that the CJN had also warned judges to remain neutral and impartial during this political season. And he also warned politicians against trying to induce judges. But the spokesman of the PDP presidential campaign team, too, joined in criticizing the CJN. Dino Melaye said the CJN, by his pronouncement, has desecrated the dignity of the judiciary, demonstrated partiality, eroded public confidence, exposed the judiciary to political attacks, and acted in a manner that is inconsistent with the character, color, and calling of his exalted office. Well, Kunle, we have heard this and we've seen series of protests to the National Assembly, to the Supreme Court over that comment by the CJN. But what really constitutes what is supposed to be ethical of a judicial officer and what is not ethical?
What?
That the CJN made that statement, does it amount to him being partisan automatically?
Well, George, thank you very much for having me here once again. If you ask me, and my view about it is that if you listen to that clip, if you listen to the statement, it's obvious that the CJN was just making a joke in Port Harcourt. He was just trying to make a joke out of it when he told Governor Wike that now that my governor is with you, that's the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, said, now that my governor is with you among the integrity group, you can no longer threaten him that you will take your wife back, your sister back, because look at it, Seyi Makinde's wife is from Rivers State. And sometimes before then, Wike usually joke with his colleague in Oyo State that I will take my wife, I will take my sister from you. I will take my sister from you. So it was based on that when the CJN was delivering his speech or making his comment in Rivers State, that he said that I will, that now that my governor is with you in the integrity group, that is happy that it's in the integrity group now, that you can no longer threaten to take your sister away from. So for me, that comment is not a controversial comment in any way. And it's just unfortunate that we politicize everything. We see politics in everything. And, you know, issues like this, some persons may have been sensing defeat, if you ask me. Some persons may have been sensing defeat. And apart from that, I see this statement as some persons see this statement as an avenue to also make money for themselves, especially those who have been engaged in protest against the CJN for making how do I put it now? For making statements that is not controversial. For me, that statement is not controversial in any way, because if you listen to it, if you watch that tape, if you see that tape, you will know that the CJN did not really mean what he said. It was just, okay, let me ask these questions. What is wrong in throwing banters? What is wrong in that? There's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in me making a joke with you. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. There's absolutely nothing wrong in somebody making a joke out of an issue. So for me, some person said this issue is too sensitive for the CJN to make a joke out of it. But I will say that I don't think so. I don't think so, because the tape is still there till tomorrow for everybody to see. The tape is there for everybody to see. That is just it's just like what I can call an aside, just a statement that if you don't do this, since you have done this now, you are at peace. I will not do. This person will not cannot threaten you again. Yes, for me, I don't think it is any issue one should worry about, or one issue somebody should say or think that the CJN is partisan.
Well, I think maybe why most Nigerians are looking at it and they think that they can actually make a field day out of it is because of the timing, especially when we are in an electioneering season, where at the end of the day, most people are thrown into suspicion in the political landscape. And any statement you make, no matter what you meant, can be interpreted to mean that you meant this. No, don't you think the CJN
that's
would
what
have
I'm
been more
saying.
cautious?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, George. That's what I'm saying, George. I said what I said. I just said something now, that if anybody, the tape is still there for anybody to see. If you look at it, it's just that for me, it's my view. I feel some persons are just mischievous. That is one. For me, I feel some persons just want to capitalize on this and make some money for themselves. If not, I don't see anything controversial in that statement whatsoever. I don't see anything controversial in it. Seriously speaking. So for me, some persons have accused the CJN of being partisan. I don't think so.
Thank you very much, Kunle. Well, the big issue of the day is the political statement made by the CJN in Rivers State, which has actually put the new CJN who took over recently from Justice Mohammed Tanko in the eye of the storm. And of course, the idea here is to establish what is actually ethical and unethical for a judicial officer, especially the one holding the highest office in the land as pertains to the judiciary. Well, we will actually take a short break so that we'll do some announcements, then sell ourselves through to the public out there. And by the time we come back, we will now go critically into looking at what and how a judicial officer, a senior one for that matter, should conduct himself in order not to attract public criticism. Don't go offline. We will be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the Big Issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is CJN Ariwoola in the eye of the storm, following a political statement he made in Rivers State. Well, as we were talking, Kunde, there had been so many criticisms, even the ones who try to be fair and balanced. For instance, let's look at what Professor Kamilu Sanifagi of Bayero University, Kano. Bayero University, Kano said. He said the position of the seat of a CJN is a very complex situation because a judge or the judiciary itself is supposed to be non-political and expected to be silent on issues that will mar its independence. And he went on to say, be that as it may, the issue, especially the situation of the country, is true, because there's no time in history that the country is faced with so many security issues at the same time. Well, he should have come out and talk about it openly. He shouldn't have come out and talk about it openly. You see what Professor Kamilu is actually talking about here? I think the CJN again made one comment where he was talking about the security situation in the country and said all hands must be on deck. You know that statement was mistaken to say that the CJN was partisan, to say all hands must be on deck to see how they can address the security situation in the country. This is what Professor Kamilu was actually referring to. That shows you that it is not just about whether what he said was actually partisan. It is because once you swear to an oath of office as the CJN, you know that there are certain people who naturally, that they understand what you say, and they know that it was just a mere joke.
Okay.
So now, What they are insisting is that if he has sworn to that office, he should know that certain kind of utterances will project him as a partisan person. Are you saying that by making that statement in public, that wouldn't have been counted on the CJN as an unethical conduct?
George,
now let's leave what people will say.
No, let me say
people
something.
Could be entitled to their own opinion.
Let me say something. Let me say something. First of all, the CJN is a human being. First thing about him is that he's a human being before CJN. You get what I'm trying to say now. And as human beings, if I will not say all, I will say 80-90% of us as human beings, we have humorous part of us. That's the side of humor now. We have it. There are times we crack jokes. There are times we playfully talk to people. I don't know if as human being now, not as CJN. I agree with you. When you say, in fact, I agree with you totally when you said that some persons in some positions should mind their utterances. But for me, this utterance does not fall into that category at all. It does not. That's why I said earlier that the CJN, Justice Ariwoola, is first of all a human being before he will be addressed as CJN. And like I said, as human beings, we all have our side of humor.
Humor, yes.
You understand? So just as I told you again, that when you said, or maybe some person said, as the CJN, there are some utterances that should not come from him. And what I am saying now is this: what he said, or the joke he made, or let me just put it this way: what he said does not fall under that, because go back and look at that tape again very well. Go back and look at it very, very well. It does not fall in the category of partisanship.
Okay, see what? Sorry, I'm not cutting you, but let me just add something to really guide you again. See what Professor Camilo Sagi actually said again. He said the CJN wouldn't have come out to make such utterances. And why did he say so? In his word, it is quite uncommon because the previous chief justices we had, you never hear them talk in public. And now that he has come out, I think he's opening himself up for attack and negative comments. So he is not supposed to come out and say these things. You understand? Especially in political cases where Nigeria is this type that we have always had issues where the judiciary will make its pronouncement on election matters, and most Nigerians will still come out and tell you that what the justices of the Supreme Court did was to deliver a political judgment. For instance, the case between Yar'Adua and Buhari in 2007, when Yar'Adua won an election, and at the end of the day, judgment was given, and they said his election was in order. Why Yar'Adua admitted that yes, the election that brought him into power was compromised. This has actually set the judiciary, puts the judiciary on the spot. So that whenever election period is, Nigerians are always very suspicious.
I agree with you.
Every matter.
I agree.
So now, past CJNs, according to Fagi, had not been talking like that in public. And he's saying that why the CJN is in this, has found himself in trouble with that, because he has just done what the past CJN. Is it true that other CJNs don't normally?
That's why I said that it's not they talk in public. They talk in public, but what I see here is depending on the occasion. Whatever you say will depend on the occasion you find yourself. He finds himself in an occasion for crying out loud. I just believe that some persons just want to make an issue out of nothing, if you ask me. And I will also add that some persons just want to, or let me put it this way: probably defeat is staring some persons in the face, and they are looking at it that if they lose, if they lose the election, that they may not get justice in the court with this kind of statement, I don't think their analysis is right. I don't think the analysis is right, because they should go back. Whoever is attacking the CJN should go back and watch the tape again.
So, but what is unethical about judicial officers? Because naturally, is there any law that even prohibits the judicial officer in the office of the CJN not to be talking freely or making jokes?
There's nothing like that.
Recently, we had issues. There's this case too. This one is not even in the bench. This is the bar, where Olukayode had come under serious attack from his own colleagues, that he went behind and was soliciting for brief. A brief that was already given by another lawyer. He now went to now selling himself, telling the client how he would have been a better person to. They attack him and bash him from that. And at the end of the day, one would have asked the law thing too. No matter what, we all know that as far as it is something, the profession that people engage themselves for a living, and we know that lawyers should survive from what we call service charge. At least you must always bargain.
You see, when you talked about the past CJN, whether they talk like this in public, and I said it depends on the occasion. Now, this is an occasion where, let me put it this way, like an atmosphere of friendship. Yes, and of course, I think an atmosphere of. Okay, let me put it this way. It's even in a social gathering. Yes.
I think even in the past, first of all, let's establish: had there been any occasion where a CJN had been invited to commission a completed project in this country? Past CJN, have they ever invited them to do something?
There are many projects they've commissioned in the past. But don't forget, this project he commissioned, or one of the projects he commissioned, has to do with the judiciary one. The second one has to do with his former colleague in the Supreme Court bench. That's Justice Mary Odili. I believe it is in honor of Justice Odili that I even went there. Probably he wouldn't have even gone there to do the commissioning if it were not. And it also depends on the relationship between them when Justice Odili was in the on the Supreme Court bench. So for me, tell me which profession. Are you with me?
Yes.
Tell me which profession that has code of ethics will tell their members not to joke. No, tell me, is there any? I don't think so.
Of course,
not to make a joke.
Yes,
I don't think that. So that's why I said, for me, people are just crying wolf where there is none. They are just trying to make issue out of nothing. And like I said, those making noise already, I would say they are already afraid of defeat.
Yes, because
afraid of the outcome of the election.
The matter took a different dimension when it even had to do with civil society organizations. Going up to the National Assembly, the Supreme Court staging a protest, calling for the removal, the sack of the CJN. One will now begin to wonder, is it that because the CJN said, oh, thank God, one of my governor is part of the G5, the G5 group. And so,
okay, if I may even ask this question, even if Governor Seyi Makinde is not part of the G5 governor, can Wike take his wife away from him? No.
It's not possible.
So if somebody says, now that my governor is part of the G5, the Rivers State government can no longer take his sister away from my governor. Can in the real sense, can he take his wife?
That will really happen in real life.
That is it.
Because you are deep.
That is the point. That's so. But for me, I just believe some persons are mischievous. Some persons have agenda. Some persons are playing a script written by somebody, and I will just advise them to allow peace to reign in the Nigerian judiciary.
Okay, well, you've heard it all. And of course, as the saying will always go, that no one is watching more keenly than the one who fervently prays to see you fall. I think from the point of view of our analysts here in the house, the CJN is just a victim of blackmail and some kind of political maneuvers that characterizes the electioneering season we are in the build-up to the 2023 general election. And of course, while it is so, there's also a word of caution for the CJN and other senior judicial officers that in as much as the law does not back them for making jokes and to say things in a lighter mood, the environment they find themselves, especially the Nigerian situation, is so sensitive that at the end of the day, even though they are at liberty to do so, whatever they say will be used against them. In this case, not in the court of law, in the public court. And I think that is what the CJN himself is going through. A situation where we now say the hunter has suddenly become the hunted. Although he might not be in the court of law where the what he said will be used against him, he is in the public court. And what the CJN said is being used against him in the public court. Well, that is left for Nigerians to look at. Did the CJN behave unethically? Was he partisan in what he said? Well, as time goes on, we will actually see the outcome, especially as CSOs are actually out there insisting that he must be removed. It's an unfolding issue, and in the coming days, we will see how it ends. Whether it will not pick out into thin air, or it will continue to fester until the CJN is forced to leave the office. It is Nigeria, anything can happen. And of course, we have seen things happening in the past. We now ask, why is it so? Thank you for keeping tab with us. And of course, I would like to thank our in-house analyst, Kunle, for actually addressing the big issue. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.